Hey, it's Shaves, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 22nd of June to the 29th of June. Hope I didn't miss anything too big, but yeah, let's get started. Well, now first for the video that I gotta say, I'm probably being too hard here. This is probably unfair of me, so you take it with a giant truck of salt. The video I really didn't think was very good, not good. It was from TeamFourStar again. They're really my new beating horse. They really seem to be the only ones, because otherwise I wouldn't have had a video I found this week that I didn't think was not good. So truthfully, I am putting this in here because I really didn't vibe with the video for the most part. Why Sonic doesn't work in live action, which is a pretty baity title, but in all honesty, it's really just another it's another Kaiser Neko video, just solo him video essay, him editing it, which we'll get to, talking about why he didn't, he had problems with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, like, a couple months after it came out. And, like, even spends, like, 2 or 3 minutes ragging on the old design when it's such old news. It's like, get that out of here. I don't care, dude. But my problem with it was really a lot of belly aching. And even admits it in the video, where it's like, look, a bit opinion time. And it's like, if you have to give yourself a caveat that, like, oh, people might not agree with this, maybe you should rethink of why you're making this and, like, approach it with a more palatable idea or option, I guess. It really seems like his problem with the Sonic movie, and he liked the movie. That's the other thing, right? He didn't feel he kind of softballed his qualms by kind of like prefacing everything, saying, "No, I liked the movie, guys, but here's my problems with it." Yeah, it's like, well, why are you talking about it? Like, I don't know. It just seemed strange. Subject matter wise, but like it seems that his problem is the fact that it just took place in the real world and it had like live action actors and stuff. Like he just didn't like that Sonic's, like, he was cool with Sonic's design, but it was just, he didn't like it being placed in live action because it was weird. His explanations were very weak to me. And like, he mentions, he does the thing, right, where somebody could bring you a counterexample, and you know that counterexample, and you bring it up just to refute it in some weak-ass way. And he mentions Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he just kind of hand-waves it. It's like, without the all-star cast, that wouldn't work. And it's like, so, it was weird. And he just doesn't like the direction they took it in. Like, he would, like, but he wants it to be like the comics or the plethora of how much lore there is in Sonic. And it's like, and he's like, he was just disappointed that it was a watered down movie for kids. This is a kids movie. This is mainstream audiences. They're not going to spend all this money on this movie depicting a story that, like, you need to read the comics first. Or just be super niche about. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And, like, I get where you're coming from, where you can just have these qualms and stuff, but it's like, it just seemed really weak to have. And it was just like, why is this kind of dropping on TeamFourStar's channel months after this movie was relevant? And to make these points that are just really weak, and also just talking about the characterization, like, it's supposed to be cartoony and whatever. Well, he's just really butthurt that this didn't take place in just Sonic's world. And it's like, okay, there's plenty of Sonic media you have said you've consumed. That supplement. Why would you need that out of this movie? This movie is to introduce new people to Sonic. And it's like, it doesn't work in live action. You just don't like it being in live action. You just want it to be a cartoon. You just want it to stay as a cartoon. Unfortunately, animated movies are not, that just wasn't the direction they wanted to go with it, I don't know. I really like the editing, though. The editing I was pretty admired too. He's really great. He's a really good editor. But it's just like covering up all this kind of nitpicking and like belly aching to me. It was just really weird and not very pleasant to watch, honestly. I'm not super hard on this one, to be honest, and I can't really say I was disappointed by it because it's not like I was expecting it. Like, it's just a random, like, what are you doing? And it's just, I don't know why it's on this channel. I really don't. It's really like, seems like they can just upload whatever they want now. Which just kind of go, I don't know. It vibes weird with me. It's like, what are you doing? But yeah, I wanted to talk about it. I wasn't a fan of it though. Well, I'm going to take some request videos, and the first one's from Hazel, talking about an Ojamajo Doremi AMV, Evacuate the Dance Floor, from Gangrene Gang. It's actually not a very pleasant username, anyway. But this came out in 2009. Very retro again. And they're still but here's the thing, they're still making AMVs. They actually just made an Ojamajo Doremi AMV that I didn't end up checking out, like a week or a month ago. It's like they're still active, and it's like, oh wow, that's really great. But this was really a surprise because it's like, oh, you know, evacuate the dance floor, like I'm not even going. Is it Britney Spears? I might have gotten that wrong. I'm sorry. It might have. I don't know. But like, you know, I was vibing with it, and I was, you know, I think it's very campy. Has a lot of rainbow going on all the time, and the characters are constantly shifting colors, and there's a lot of cheesy effects, having the characters in like orbs and moving them around a little bit, and a lot of cheesy stuff. But like, there's also kind of a lot of technical, cool, interesting stuff going on. Like, there's a lot of keying and like masking, cutting the characters out. Sometimes a little crude, but like, that's for 2009. And I did not think that you would have access to this much Ojamajo Doremi footage, to the way Gangrene Gang has in this AMV. It's really incredible. The clip section here is really impressive for like a Doremi AMV, given like how big the series is and how much you can pull from. There's a lot of stuff I recognized and it was fun. There's a section where like in the song they have like this male rap group, like this rapper kind of hyping the crowd up instead of the female singer or whatever. Such a normie. No, I'm not really. I would be a normie if I knew this, I guess. I don't know. But the male rapper, whoever's singing it, the AMV user pulls up the Flat Four gang, like the Flat Four, and they're kind of their section, and that was really fun. It's just like if you're an Ojamajo Doremi fan, you can tell they're an Ojamajo Doremi fan, and they're not just like I only watched season 1. No offense to those fans. But, you know, at least with Doremi, I think there's this vibe of like, I don't know if you get it. I don't know if you've seen all of it. Get a deal. Or you're just nostalgic for it, and you don't really, I don't know how much you really appreciate it. I don't know. I don't want to come off as a fake fan sort of thing. But this, I could really tell that this person really liked Doremi with like, and knowing the characters and like having a lot of fun with it. Again, a lot of cheesy stuff here and there, and it's kind of like, old. It does show its age a fair deal, but again, like, it's certainly not lazy. It's certainly not like cliche or I don't know. I just really liked it, and the energy was great. I really enjoyed it, honestly, and not simply because honestly, it's a lot because I'm an Ojamajo Doremi fan. That's probably a lot of it. So, but whatever. I really liked it. And the other request I got was from Najbeb. Why don't we talk about something I missed from last year by these guys, Riven X3I? All right. UALA, pilot episode 0, My Hero Academia's conceptual spin-off. It's taking place in the My Hero Academia universe with Koseis, with quirks, taking place in LA, and very lesser stakes, all things considered, not like a slice of life or anything, obviously not, but a minor story in the canon, of course. They're not trying to make some headcanon fanfiction-y thing. They're just kind of creating their own new characters, setting it in Los Angeles, and and having fun with the concept of various people having these quirks and having some cool fights, which honestly I think were some of it was better fights than a lot of MHA itself, actually. I enjoyed it. I actually liked how well thought out it was, without really being too pretentious or banking on the IP. Like, I feel like a lot of these other projects like this always give me this vibe of they're just getting the views and stuff like that, and I kind of get a bad taste in my mouth from that. But these guys definitely see that they've definitely watched the anime, and they're respecting the series a good deal, I think. With the eye catch animations, and one of the characters only speaks Japanese, and it's an overdub, but like still, and like one of the main character is also speaking Japanese, even though he's a person of color. All of them are I think almost all of them. There's one white guy as the 5 main people, and there's some others around here and there, but like mostly it was people of color. So that was really great to see. And I really liked the fight choreography. I liked the fight choreography. Yeah, well, of course. I mean, you kind of expect a lot of that from projects like this, but it was really cool. Without given the budget and like given the resources they had, I think it was really great. And the scenario was also really easy to follow. It was really just, it's all action. It's really just conceptual. Being able to not like, here's my headcanon, my self-insert character, and giving you their whole backstory or whatever. It was really like, here's this guy, they don't tell you his quirk, the main character's quirk, until the end, because it's a twist thing, and it's cool because you can kind of tell what the quirk is at first, but they don't tell you until like there's some, like the character he's fighting initially has like a quirk that like he can gradually build up his strength the more he fights, sort of deal. Like he has like a 5-hit window, and so if he hits like 3 times, he can build up the storage, and they're kind of technical actually. It's not, and it's very little effects heavy, which is very smart. These guys are very intelligent with like, okay, they're combat oriented or basically something that we can show in live action that doesn't cost us a bunch of effects or whatever. There's very little effects animation in this, which is really nice. It's actually really refreshing. But it's like, yeah, one guy generates weapons and the camera work just suddenly has him using different weapons all the time, which is really nice. But all the quirks are very simple, and it's easy to follow in terms of the action and the camera work and everything. And they have the little thing with Hero Academia with like the backstory and little flashback thing that it's a little corny, but on brand, definitely on brand, and not like cringy or anything. And again, a good representation, and I really liked it. I think it was really solid. I'm not like, this is the best, next best, they're at the top of the fucking game or whatever. It's a fan project, I guess, but it's cool. And I don't know how much of I'm not sure if I'm really looking for this to be a long-running thing. I don't really want to put hope in that, because you never know with these things, right? Also with the pandemic and everything, I don't know how much that really cocked up the works, really, because this is like October of 2019 when this came out. But for what this was, I was really happy to see it, and thank you for the recommendation. I thought it was really interesting. Act 2, the videos I thought were decent. I was like, yeah, all right. To be honest, it was most of them were decent, and I think there's kind of like 1 or 2 things that I was particularly wowed with this session. But yeah, what it be, what it do. First, we got a video from KrisPNatz reviewing the first chapter of a trans love story, retro anime-inspired trans love story, Sweethearts of 1989. And at first, I thought it was genuinely talking about retro anime, and I'm like, ooh, instant click, kind of watch later thing. But it turns out it's a new IP by someone on Instagram or something. It's kind of a fan thing. But, well, I shouldn't say fan thing because it's not based on anything. It's their original work, which is cool. And seems like really good representation. And it's just the first chapter, but KrisPNatz having that really good energy and positive points to make and good observations. You can tell he's fairly well read and everything. And I really like how I like the coverage here, and also the representation and shouting out this work, because it's a brand new thing, and the more eyes on it, the better kind of deal. Also, I hadn't. It's been a while since I checked out his channel, I guess, but he was really on the button for what's going on currently with the protests and with Pride Month and everything. Obviously, he's doing this as Happy Last Friday of Pride kind of deal. But particularly about the whole about Black Lives Matter movement, and having a pinned comment with all the donations and stuff that people can look at, and really be having that commentary, not being afraid to being very proud to kind of toss that in everywhere. I think he has the like dislike button disabled, I guess, and he might be catching some heat for that, but he really doesn't care, and that's great. That's the attitude to have. So that was good to see. It was good to see more from him, but that was decent. I liked that. Opalescent did this thing where she invited 12 anime YouTubers to talk about 12 underrated anime. And it's very simple blur, like, hi, I'm this person, and we're going to talk about this show. And they're just talking. Some of them, it's a fair deal of them are very summary based, but then kind of what they liked about it and stuff. And this was really nice. I really just want to shout out a collaboration like this is really great. And I heard of almost none of these other YouTubers. Almost at all. I think all of them, I want to say almost all of them are under 1,000. I want to say pretty much all of them were. If not under 2,000. They're very small. But like that's awesome. So giving them more exposure and their reach and building a community. I think that's really great. And I'm happy to see that. Especially there was this one guy who he barely had any content on his channel, and Opal brought him in, and that was awesome. That was great to see. And again, so I like that. Granted, the actual anime they talked about, some of them it's kind of just anime they like that they don't see as many people talking about, but it's like, one of them did a silent voice, one of them did Wolf Children, Kids on the Slope. They're kind of under... kind of. Not all that much. I mean, there's some... I think some of the picks were really random and interesting. Skip Beat, How to Kind of Receive, World Trigger, there's some stuff like that. But one was Vinland Saga, and it's like, is it really underrated? Is it though? I don't know. No offense to those guys. But I subscribed to some of them. Some of them I was like, I'll take it or leave it. But some of them I was like, wow, this person has some energy, or I like how they're talking about it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to pay attention to some of them. I should subscribe to all of them. I should have the courtesy to release, because I'm trying to subscribe to every anime YouTube channel. But I've quickly realized that's very impossible. So some of these people, it's like very small, and I don't know. I don't really want to do that. I'm figuring that out. But like some of them, I was like, I'm going to keep my eye on some of these. But again, Opal was really great to see that collab, and well orchestrated, right? Nothing too spectacular editing wise. I think one section had some people using some Kiss anime clips, so you could see the watermark, and it's not hard to get. It's not really worth getting butthurt over something like that if these guys are so small and they're just getting started and stuff like that. But I think that's great. And also the mic quality for some of these guys weren't the best. And it was hard to hear even with like full volume sort of deal. And but it's not really. Some of these people are just starting out or just doing it with the resources they have, and I can't knock that because of all of us were at that point. So I was happy to see that though. Good job, everybody. Nice to see. Glass Reflection talking about defining a hidden gem, and I liked this. It was well rounded and kind of setting out 3 criteria of how to define it being hidden, how to define it being a gem, and then the third one was generally time. Because it's like these things ebb and flow with popularity, and you can't call Erased a hidden gem the season it came out, but you might have an argument now because very, very few people are talking about it. And he was talking a lot about that seasonal recency bias, and how a lot of these are getting tossed under, and a lot of them could be considered hidden gems even though they came out a few years ago, whereas a lot of things from the 90s and 80s, yeah, they're really old, but they're still very present in public consciousness. But it's a very case-by-case basis, and Arcada doesn't dwell too much on, this isn't a hidden gem, this is, this isn't, this is. He just kind of generally laid out his criteria and used some to kind of give one example or something. You know, talking about Utena not really being a hidden gem because it has a very fervent fan base, and if you're in anime long enough, you know who Ikuhara is and how prevalent of a creator he is, so you would know what Utena is, even if you haven't seen it or not. So it's like, you know, and also like he was talking about his circle of mutuals do not talk about Black Clover. So to his mutual standards, Black Clover might be a hidden gem, you know, quality, but you know, not too talked about. But it's one of the most popular shows on Crunchyroll, kind of deal. So stuff like that, and having a very fair, balanced sort of idea of this. I would have liked more examples, just because it, you know, use this up as an opportunity, but it's more of a symbolic, like, generalized talking about what is or isn't, and moving forward, that is the criteria he'll be using to defining what he considers a hidden gem, and using his platform to highlight some of those sometimes. Because, yeah, he has been talking about how, like, he wants to push forward more under-talked about titles that need more visibility, which is great, which is exactly what I would want from him, of his size. So that's really great. But it was a decent conversation. Yeah, it was nice. You know, Mother's Basement come out with kind of a good video. I'm sorry if I make that a surprise or something. Jeff does his thing. No, but I really like the concept of this video, actually. What's your ideal Saturday morning anime lineup? Talking about, like, okay, at like 8 a.m. you're just waking up, and he kind of gives some vague justification of, like, the kind of show he wants to pick for this time slot. And it reminds me a lot of what Shonen Ronin did with their shonen palette, like giving a full course meal of and choosing different shows to represent a drink or an entree and stuff like that. I thought it was really interesting, and I like concepts like that. I should maybe give an example. I'm sorry if I don't give this video the same amount of detail I gave for that video. Because I don't know if Jeff necessarily encouraged something like that the way Shonen Ronin did, which I think was great, because that was really encouraging fan participation and further discussion. And it was just more specific, I guess. But this one, I still like it. I still like the idea for sure, and it might encourage people to watch some of these shows, right? Like, he was recommending Metabots, and that's, they're very not super hidden. He was recommending, like, Avatar and Pokemon Sun and Moon and Haikyuu, and okay, man. Mob Psycho. I was like, yeah, I guess so. But, like, the justifications for some of these was pretty sound, actually, and I just wish he emphasized that more, maybe. But what was the other one he did instead of Digimon? I will say I really liked. He recommended Denocoil for a Saturday morning cartoon lineup, and I was like, oh yeah, that would be good. Nice, good recommendation there. I mean, I think he's talked about Denocoil before on his channel already, and I do feel like he's made so much content at this point that he almost ever. I think Metabots was the only one that I had not seen him talk about before, but every single one I'm positive he's talked about somewhere else. So this was just very redundant overall of a video to me in terms of the content, because he's really just talking about these shows in a very general sense, and because it's kind of what he does, really. He times up the core idea, the premise of the video, and then the meat of the actual video is just talk about the show, and it's just kind of like, it's fun. I don't know, it just feels like not additive. It's difficult. I'm not too into it personally, but, like, I didn't think it was a bad video, though. I think it was fine enough to listen to, for sure. And again, I really like the concept, so I wanted to shout it out as a decent video. But yeah, it's just, I think a lot of the time when you're talking about a show, you really have to have the consciousness of like, okay, people have probably heard you talk about it or have heard other people talk about it. What are you going to say about it? So I really try, at least for me, I try to avoid very obvious points, like the year it came out and who made it and stuff like that. Granted, my earlier content did that a lot because, just starting kind of deal. But I was realizing quickly it's like, that's not very additive. Like, so what, it came out in 2002? Like, does that matter? You know what I mean? Unless it's a review. If you're making yourself a review, then it's like, yeah, that's standard fare. But some of these details are not all that necessary. And what people want to hear is kind of your perspective on it and why are you talking about it, I guess. I don't know. But I could take or leave Jeff's overall content writing kind of thing, where he's just talking very generally about Cardcaptor Sakura. It's like, okay, yeah. So, yeah, that's just me. But I liked it. I did like it. Yeah, well, I thought this was going to be in one of the best videos, but I was pretty let down by it. But it wasn't to the point where I was disappointed or anything. But I do have to be honest, where I was fairly mid on it. Why Smash Matters by Best Guy Ever. It's his return to, a very long-awaited return to edited, scripted, very focused content. But this video, I don't know how much it really worked in terms of being concentrated and really driving to an overall point. It is, if anything, the ending where he's kind of making a parallel to Gurren Lagann and stuff like that. That was cool. But it felt a little shoehorned in, all things considered, because the structure of the whole video really seems like topics and general talking points about Smash and its importance in the overall fighting game sphere, in the community sphere. But like, he didn't really talk about the specialness of the Smash community and the meta aspects. He mostly talked about, his focus mainly is on the newcomers and like what the presence of a new character would mean for the community and for Smash in general. And I think he kneecaps his own points sometimes, where it's like, yeah, Mega Man was not in a good place in 2013-14. He was not getting many good games, and it seemed like his series was over, like dead. And then he was in Smash, and it was such a big deal. But then towards the end of the video, he's saying like, did it really make a difference? No, it didn't. It didn't really make a difference. So it's like, does it matter if the one of the arguments you're making of this, like, it's to keep the character alive, and to keep the series in people's memory, and that's when I feel like, I don't know why he didn't reference One Piece. As such a big One Piece fan, and I haven't even seen One Piece, the point that he's making about a character staying alive by being in someone's memory, or someone making a fan art or something, I like that point. Isn't that literally from One Piece? Like, isn't that like Chopper's backstory, where it's like his doctor is like, does a man die when he's killed? No. When is does he die when blah 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 blah? No. And it's like, he dies when everyone forgets about him, when he's completely gone. That's when they're dead. And it's like, yeah, that's really interesting. That's really profound. But like, he didn't I don't think he references it in the video. It's like, huh, weird. But like, overall, it just didn't have this narrative thrust to me. I liked the initial setup of him watching with his friends and his situation at the time, and what this drive of a new Smash character was like. But I was, through a 30-minute video, I was kind of expecting a whole narrative thread and the re-experiencing the thrill and the experience of getting that new character feels like. That's kind of what I was expecting from this video, but it was really just a bunch of talking points about like, yeah, well, what good is it if the character is introduced and then they're not that good of a fighter? If like Ridley is introduced and he's the most anticipated Smash person the fans want the most, and then he turns out to be a really shitty character in the metagame, does that really matter? And then he kind of talks that through. So some of these points are interesting, but like, it really wasn't all that engaging at the end of the day. It felt like he was going to the next point, but without any progression. It wasn't like the this, thus this, thus this, thus this. It felt like some people also say that this is, it's a lot of extra pieces. It's a lot of pieces floating around without too much cohesion. So that's unfortunate. And it's like, yeah, but you know, so I mean, I like the research he's having in here, and he still has this energy and his charisma. And it's good to see him making edited content like this, even though he himself is not the one editing it, which was interesting to hear about at the end of the video. He's like, this was edited by my friend. This, like, you know, and the editing was good, but there's only like a couple of moments where I was like, yeah, that's him. You know, like he has. I always remember his editing having this energy, or this like very aggressive movement to it. I guess there was very like specific stuff. What I would mostly relate it to is this is mostly, he says this is a companion piece to his Smash Revealed series, which is like the series of like revealing a character. When a character's revealed, he's going through like the fans community's thoughts of like, this character is not going to get announced, and like going through the chronicled history of it. And then when the guys get announced, it's like the feeling of it and the visceralness, and giving all these references and humor and energy. And like all that is great. I love all those videos, and those feel like him. But this didn't really feel like him. And it's like, you know, that's the I think the pro of the advantage of having an editor is the videos get made. Which like was kind of his problem. Was like the videos were so great, but they were very, very few and far between. Because he would just put so much into them, which is great, but like it starts to hinder you. It is a drawback significantly, and I know because I've specifically had that. I've specifically had that problem of too sparse content over too long of a time. It takes way too long to make a video kind of deal because you're putting so much into this or whatever. I've totally been there with lots of my videos. So it's really important to find that balance. And it's like and I know there's other videos that I guess he's been working on that still aren't done kind of deal. So like, and he knows, and I would say that I've kind of took from him in a way where seeing Wiagawa, or again, how he started Mia Mathova was fantastic. He knows that there are ways to make a video quickly. But I don't know, it's really kind of like having a back and forth. If you have an editor, and you're an editor yourself, and you really care about this kind of video or whatever, I mean, I've edited for other people, and I would be able to edit some things they would, and I would imagine if someone was editing if someone who edits their videos a ton, or a big editor guy, wanted me to edit one of their videos, I would be fine. I would be fine as someone who edited their video, has edited other people's videos. If someone told me, hey, I'm going to tweak this section here myself, I'm going to do this part myself, totally fine by me, man. Or just like alter certain, you know, or edit on top. My AMV for the Money Gore, one of my friends, he was super busy with his job, and he couldn't really get the AMV done in the time I wanted it. So I was like, okay, how about I make the AMV footage-wise, I assemble all the footage and do the clip selection and everything, and then I give it to you, and you do all the fun edits you want, and like you can switch different clips or add some effects and whatever. So it's it felt like a collab sort of deal. And that was great, and that worked out really well. You could do something kind of like that, but I don't know. I just, as much as the editing was fine here, I do think it was kind of lacking some of that charisma and that, you know, what you've put in your other content, I guess. So that would be my 2 cents on it. I'm probably being too harsh on it, but you know, my expectations were kind of high. So would it be what it do? I'm looking forward to more content like this, as you saying that is coming, so that's great. So yeah, kind of what I was saying on it. It's my piece. Kobe LeBron. Summer 2020 anime season. What will I be watching with Kobe? isn't just a Twitch live stream. I was ready to give it like best or whatever because it's Kobe upload. Oh my god, Kobe's really funny and sharp. He's really cool. I like watching his videos a lot, but like, it was very generic praise. I'm sorry. But like, it is just kind of a Twitch stream of him talking about the summer anime season, and it's very rambly. And it has a lot of memes going on in the corner with them bothering him with the text to speech with subscribing to Jack and Core, and how he smells like stinky cheese. And I honestly, those were the funniest parts of the video. I'm happy he included them. But it's very whatever, kind of going through the summer anime season, and he's very very blunt, where he's like, I'm not gonna watch this. I can't really have the same sort of qualms that I have with other people making videos like this, because my problem is always like they don't dig far enough in. But what's so funny with Kobe is like he does dive in, but then he makes the most surface level comments. Like, look at this, like he looks at who's directing these shows, and then he's like, look at this dude's smile, look at this dude's face. Like, really, like, okay. And it's just fun, and not like a serious, like, here's what you should, here's the barometer of, kind of the utility of these videos. He's kind of poking at that balloon and making it pop, and it's like, it's really not a big deal, it really doesn't matter. But it's like, broing out and vibing with what could be going on, and checking out some of the PVs and like, wow, this looks like shit. Just stuff like that. I really enjoyed it. So it's like, yeah, that was nice. It was a good time. All right, it is time for us to talk about the best videos of the week, which, to be honest, this is going to be a very short digest. I don't know, I decided, that happens. But I do want to talk about a menage a trois of content that dropped very suddenly from CDawgVA, Gigguk, and TheAnimeMan. And they all culminate on the Trash Taste podcast, which I watched first, interestingly enough. And I thought it was interesting. I don't know. I can't really make much of a comment on why I watched it first or how much different it was experiencing it. But they had a collab, a real epic collab, where each of them... they had this challenge where they go to 4 different stores to buy figures and various merch so they can decorate their studio's podcast room. So I thought there's utility to it, kind of a fun challenge, and not just making a generic Akihabara video, as I think Gigguk said. Here's the thing: is like they do bleed into each other a lot. They're filming each other as they're doing their own filming, so you see from different perspectives sometimes, which is really funny. And there's some parts that you don't get to see here and there, but I really enjoyed this concept and going to these different stores. They had various challenges that they had to succeed, and they're not the most like riveting, engaging kind of challenges or anything like that, but like it's fun in the moment, I think, and they're very charismatic. All 3 of them are very charismatic on camera. Gigguk was the most out of his element, you could tell, in this series, because CDawg and AnimeMan have made videos like this before, where they're either filming themselves or other people are filming them in various locations in Japan or whatever, or just kind of doing generally off-script embarrassing things. In the case of CDawg, like he has trained himself very good with on-screen presence, but Gigguk is still in that like scripted, concentrated sort of like here's the thing, here's the narrative, which I think made for a more ergonomic experience actually, and less of like kind of a sloppy, messy, like all over the place sort of deal. I did like that he had like a narrative through line really, but he definitely was very uncomfortable in some moments, so he had to do a lot of narrating on top of it, because he was just very awkward and kind of like which we didn't see. None of that's in the video, but like from hearing in Trash Taste and some of their comments and Connor and Joey's comments, they're like, oh, this is Gigguk's first time doing something like this kind of deal, and they're kind of noticing it and stuff like that. This was really charming. They have great chemistry with each other, but like each of these three individual videos are them together. I don't have too much to say about the Trash Taste podcast for the installment of this. It really is kind of a summary, and I liked watching that first because I had no context of the challenge or anything. I didn't see stuff that they eyed here and there, so everything they pulled out onto the table was a surprise to me. You know, like if you watch the three videos first, you'd be like, I know they got that figure and that figure and that figure or whatever. But then we see the Trash Taste. It's like, why didn't I see that in this video? Because there is some stuff that they omit, for sure, just for brevity and, you know, didn't have the right footage or whatever, right? Makes sense. But like it was nice to see that the Trash Taste podcast first, so I was able to kind of collect all the stuff that they saw, and the moment of Gigguk pulling out the High School DxD figure was really funny, and their reaction to it. Whereas and then seeing it, like him knowing it's coming in the video and then him eyeing it and stuff, that's funny. So I honestly think I was happy to watch the podcast first, and then see their three individual videos. I would say out of the three, not to be mean, I liked all of them pretty equally, but I think Gigguk's was kind of the most polished and the most conventionally good, I guess. But CDawg, again, I really commend him for how he is really good at being on camera and just the comments he's making and various vibe, the vibe he gives in the video. I just like it. I just really like watching his videos. AnimeMan, I think, was a little too long and a little all over the place, but it was still nice to see. You know, he still carries a good enough presence. But I was still really happy with the idea and the concept. I think it was pretty innovative. I thought it was interesting, funny, engaging. And had a utility to it. I thought it was really great, and it was really cool to see all three of them at the same time, kind of deal. And then the Trash Taste thing, I was like, wow, all right, this is a coordinated event, and it just makes me. That was exactly what I was looking for. I think a couple of months ago when I was talking about it, it's like I can't wait to see this sort of content, and it was exactly what I was looking for. So I was like, yeah, that was really good. I really liked that. Digi-nee put out a music video. Her content's been kind of sporadic lately because she's working on fulfilling all these Patreon rewards and these care packages that she's very behind on, and it's so she's really cleaning up shop and really making this a better effort, I guess, because it is very not lazy or I don't know, the content's been it outgrew and was kind of out of control, and she's cleaning up a lot of stuff, and she's coming through with a lot more clarity now that she's out as a trans woman, which is great for her. I think you can clearly tell that she's relieved, and it's not a phase. It really was something that was a logical conclusion, and it was really it on hindsight, it really seems like her identity was kind of a thorn in her side, and she talks about it on Befriending the Internet, which is a series. Huge. I watched all of episode 1, and then I couldn't. I tried, but it's so hard. It's a very long stream of consciousness, and it's difficult to digest all of it. But I did enjoy listening to the first one at least, and I liked the game she played. But it's not so much about this. But I guess this is the obligatory catching up on Digi's content. Version. I haven't checked out her big Imgur explaining her anime character thing. That seemed really long too. It's just very big dumps of content, which some people like, and I've indulged in a couple of them here and there, but I can't right now. But this is a shorter one, Tetsuon Iron Chan, which is kind of like a amalgamation of a few titles, right? But the video itself was, I think, her best music video I've seen, because it has incorporating so many different ideas, the lyrics on screen being really interesting, the illustrations, the little animation she's doing with I think it's her avatar or something, or it just looks like Rukia from Bleach. Oh, I see what you did there. Aha, mind Bleach and it's Rukia. Oh, or maybe that wasn't intentional. I don't know. But it looked like Rukia to me. Little cute little animation thing that kept like dancing in the corners through the music and stuff, and then the whole thing is like pink and yellow to Tetsuo the Iron Man, and the lyrics are very cathartic and pretty. I actually really like the what she's saying here. The instrumental's really pretty, and it still has that really like unhinged edge and like the kind of the corny I guess cringy is the word for it, but like the kind of out of tune like singing kind of part with the refrain of like can we just, you know, but like that I think that's speaking to where Digi's coming from, and I like it. I think it's interesting. And then when it actually is melodic and some of these other parts, I think it's nice. I think I like it. I think it's my favorite song of hers easily, because it's the one that really stands out. Obviously, I think the others are like, well, that was neat, or like this album is neat with all individual songs. I can't really gravitate to one or the other, but this one, especially because she put the lyrics on here. The lyrics thing was so smart, because I was able to really digest what she's trying to say. I'm not distracted by how it sounds, which is usually my case with music. With music, I really just care about how it sounds and not necessarily the message behind it. But that was really nice, and this was really good. I was going to put in like decent or whatever, thinking there were going to be other videos that wow me a bit more, but no. This was really great. I really liked it, and I'm gonna give this the best video of the week, because I was very delighted and surprised by it, and I genuinely think it was the better one. I was the most impressed by. It's a video by YourBeed, The Point of Kaiji. I really liked this video, and it's similar to Best Guy Ever's video in terms of points that don't necessarily, that kind of like are separate together, but there was more cohesion to it, and you were kind of going back to certain points here and there, and it felt like a connected web of vignettes, and it was surprising in that way, because like with a video like this, you make it think like, oh, it's going to be kind of like the themes, right, or something like that. But this was like a lot of different stuff at once. It was like an OP analysis, some scene analysis, overall themes, character designs, the use of a narrator. Thank you for plugging my video a little bit there. Appreciate it. Various things like that, and also with Kaiji, it's like everyone talks about the fucking anime, but thank you for actually referencing part 4 and part 5 a little bit. Well, not as much part 5, a little bit of part 5, but it was not as much as I was expecting. You don't really spoil part 5, yeah. But I mean, visual spoilers maybe, but come on. But I was happy to see that, and it felt like a fully well-read interpretation of Kaiji, and like really consuming all the Kaiji media and understanding where Fukumoto's coming from, and not just like, the anime is good, this is why you should watch it, it's a good anime. It's like, yeah, you know, because everyone kind of makes a video like this. And what really pushed it over the bar as to be the best video of the week for me was Beed's personal connection to it. Again, that's the cocaine, my dude. You found the secret sauce. It's really connecting himself to the character of Kaiji, and how he sees himself as a loser, as this kind of this nobody guy, and he's constantly fighting and persevering. You know, despite, you know, he's still making videos like this, even though he's been on the platform for so long and he's not going anywhere. You know, and it's a losing game, and I think all of us have been there. Even fucking Mr. Beast. You know, Mr. Beast was a YouTuber for years. Nobody gave a shit. And he still did it, you know? And now he's got the success and everything. And it's really like hardworking sort of mindset. Constantly evolving yourself and having a consciousness of your content, and just keep digging away at it. So I really liked the connection that Beed was making to himself. And he's like, I really see it. It's transcending, oh, I like this anime. And it's more like, I really relate to it. It is a core part of my identity. I don't know if he's necessarily saying that, but it's like, it's really striking me as part of my identity, and really what I see myself as, and what I strive to be, essentially. Where it's like, okay, I need to keep fighting like Kaiji does. I can't give up. I have to survive, sort of deal, which is sick. But but it's like, that was really good. And again, I thought that the very sudden, like, talking about the OP and some analysis there, and going to these different parts without making it very robotic, like part 1, the designs, or something like that. I think you allude to that a little bit, kind of like the meta of Kaiji. You do a little bit of that, but it wasn't so compartmentalized that it felt like robotic or something. And it was surprising. It was really like, oh, now he's talking about the OP. Oh, wow. And it was interesting in that way. It had some variety, and like, it was an interesting piece, you know? And I think because I think when you say point of Kaiji, you see a video like this, it's like, generic Kaiji video, whatever. You do. I think that, especially as someone who's on YouTube for so long, he's seeing something like this, it's like, you know, but the video itself, I think, is really good. I actually really liked it. I really liked it. There's, you know, not many the other anime YouTubers and stuff, as much as I've talked about their content, I don't give best of the week to very many people. So, hell yeah. I really think he deserved it. I think this was a W. Big fat W, my dude. That was sick. I was so happy to see it. Good luck with the next one. Looking forward to it. That'll do it for this episode of AniTube Digest. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you to my patrons who support me in said videos, including Beamburst, Flugmorph, Hazel, Jawburst, Najbeb, MyAnimePod, Unique Namosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. Yeah, thank you so much. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Have a good week. Yo, peace.